You worked late 3 weeks in a row to save the project. You trained the new hire, who you accidentally found out makes more money than you. You thought you were building a savings account of goodwill. Then you asked for one small thing. You asked to leave at 4 p.m. for a dentist appointment or work from home for a few days to care for a sick parent. And your manager didn't say, "Of course, you earned it." They quoted company policy and said, "No." Or worse, they looked confused, as if your last 6 months of sacrifice never happened. You feel betrayed because you thought loyalty was cumulative. You thought that if you gave 110% today, you could give 90% tomorrow and break even. But that is not how the corporate machine works. Workplace loyalty is not a savings account. It is a subscription service. As soon as you stop paying the premium of overperformance, your access to good standing is revoked instantly. The pain you feel is coming from a hard reality you haven't accepted yet. The reward for good work is not freedom. The reward for good work is just more work. You are playing a game where the scoreboard resets every Monday morning. Last week's heroics? They are already archived. Today, we are going to stop trying to fill a bucket that has a hole in the bottom. We are going to burn the psychological contract that says if you suffer enough, you will be rewarded. And we are going to replace it with a system that actually pays you back. Let's start with the manipulation tactic that keeps you running on this hamster wheel. We are a family here. Companies love this phrase. They plaster it on onboarding slides and repeat it at town halls. It sounds warm. It sounds safe. But biologically, it is a trap. In evolutionary psychology, we have a concept called kin selection. We are hardwired to sacrifice our own resources for those who share our genetic code. When a company calls itself a family, they are hacking this ancient biological drive. They are triggering a false kinship response. They want the sacrifice of a brother, but they are offering the commitment of a landlord. A 2023 study by Stanley and colleagues published in the Journal of Experimental Social Psychology found something disturbing about this dynamic. They discovered that managers specifically target loyal employees for exploitation. The researchers found that when a worker has a reputation for loyalty, managers feel more comfortable asking them to do unpaid work or take on excessive loads. It is not because the manager is evil. It is because the manager is efficient. They know the cost of asking you is low because you have signaled that you will not push back. Your loyalty did not buy you flexibility. It just signaled that you are willing to be exploited. To understand why your past sacrifices didn't buy you that afternoon off, we have to look at our cousins. We share 98% of our DNA with political apes. Decades of research into chimpanzee colonies reveals that what looks like friendship in a hierarchy is actually a temporary coalition. In the wild, a lower-ranking male grooms the alpha male to avoid being beaten or to get a scrap of meat. It is a transaction. Support for protection. In your office, this dynamic is identical. When you support your manager, you are entering a coalition. You offer your labor to keep them looking good. In exchange, you expect them to use their power to grant you autonomy. But here is why the transaction failed. The alpha only protects the subordinate when it benefits the alpha. Granting you leave or flexibility costs your manager political capital. It might make them look soft to their own boss. So even though you paid your dues, they refuse to pay you back. They revert to the survival model while you are still stuck in the friendship model. And because you didn't see the shift, you were left holding the bag. Now, I know what some of you are thinking, but my boss is actually a good person. They really did give me that time off. That is great. There are absolutely managers out there who possess high integrity. There are leaders who will bend the rules to help their team. If you have one of those, cherish them. But do not confuse a lucky anomaly with the rule of law. Even the most benevolent leader has a boss. And that boss has a board of directors. Somewhere up the chain, you become a cell on a spreadsheet. Your amazing manager might want to protect you. But if the order comes down from the C-suite to enforce a strict return-to-office mandate, your manager's hands are tied. Relying on the kindness of a single individual is not a career strategy. It is a gamble. And I want you to stop gambling with your livelihood. So if loyalty is a scam, what is the alternative? Do you become a slacker? Do you do the bare minimum and check out? No. That creates a reputation of incompetence, which makes you expendable. We are not going to be cynical. We are going to be strategic. We need to replace the concept of loyalty with the concept of reliability. Loyalty is emotional. It implies you will work late just to show you care. Reliability is professional. It implies you will deliver exactly what was agreed upon, on time, at a high standard. When you are loyal, you say yes to the extra project, even though you are drowning. When you are reliable, you say, I can take that on, but I will need to deprioritize the other report to hit the deadline. See the difference? One makes you a martyr. The other makes you a professional. This shift changes the power dynamic entirely. You are no longer a child seeking approval from a parent. You are a business of one, entering into a B2B contract with another business. Every day you show up, you are renewing that contract. You provide high-level service. They provide compensation. If either side stops delivering, the contract is up for renegotiation. This removes the sting of betrayal. If a client denies your request, you don't cry. You evaluate if a client is still worth your time. This brings us to the solution. You wanted loyalty to give you leverage. You thought, if I suffer for them, they have to be good to me. But real leverage does not come from suffering. It comes from optionality. In the study I mentioned earlier on power dynamics, economists point out that your bargaining power is determined by your next best alternative. If you are denied that raise or that time off, and you stay silent, you have zero leverage. Your manager can sense this. It radiates off you in meetings. When you are terrified of losing your spot, you overcompensate with blind loyalty. And ironically, this makes you less valuable in their eyes. It signals that you have nowhere else to go. To fix this, you must build what I call benevolent leverage. This is not about blackmail. It is about being so undeniably good at what you do that losing you would be painful for them. But, and this is the key, they know you will leave if the deal goes bad. You don't have to threaten them. You just have to be visible. Update your LinkedIn. Network with competitors. Speak at industry events. When your manager sees that you are in demand, the dynamic shifts. Suddenly, when you ask for that afternoon off, they say yes. Not because they love you, but because they calculated the cost of replacing you and realized it is cheaper to just give you the afternoon. That is the only protection that is real. Let's make this tactical. How do you act tomorrow morning? First, stop offering emergency favors as your baseline speed. If you work late every night, that is not going the extra mile. That is your new normal, and you will be punished when you drop back to standard hours. Set a boundary on your availability and hit your targets within it. Second, stop accepting exposure or future promises as currency. We can't give you a raise now, but stick with us for the turnaround. No, that is asking for loyalty. You accept market rate for market work. If they cannot pay you in cash, they must pay you in skills. Take on the project that teaches you the new software you need for your resume. Use their resources to upgrade your own value. That is a fair trade. Third, diversify your alliances. In primate politics, the chimp that relies on a single alpha is in trouble if that alpha falls. You need a coalition. Build relationships with other managers, other departments, even clients. If your manager tries to block your growth, you want 3 other people in the room to say, actually, they are ready for the next step. This is not betrayal. This is networking. Do not let anyone guilt you for talking to other people. Isolation is a control tactic. Connection is safety. I want you to go back to that moment where you were told no. The moment you realized your sacrifice didn't matter. It hurts. I know it hurts. But I want you to reframe that moment. It wasn't a tragedy. It was a wake-up call. You learned that a company is not a family. It is a sports team. And on a sports team, the stats from last season don't win you the game today. You have to perform now. But it also means you are a free agent. You can trade your skills to the highest bidder or the team with the best culture. That isn't personal. It is the game. And now that you know the rules, you can finally stop playing to not lose and start playing to win. If you are ready to stop banking points in an account that keeps resetting, I want you to comment below with the word SCOREBOARD. Tell me one way you are going to reclaim your time this week. I read every single one. Don't forget to subscribe if you want the truth about work without the corporate sugarcoating. See you in the next one.